You are watching the New American Media.
You are listening to the Unhappy Hour Sports Radio Show on the newamericanmedia.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Brian with the New American Media. And yes, I did say that this was a part of Agree to Disagree, but no, that is the name of our other show that we have immediately following this one every Friday from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And we do put all of our shows on thenewamericanmedia.com. Just click on TNAM Radio. They're all embedded there. And you can find it on YouTube after the fact at youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. We want to thank our 141 subscribers and 26,000 video views. We've only recently been putting our videos up there, and I think we got something, Zach. We had about 17 or 1,800 video views from last week's episode that we did about the draft and the free agent signings. A lot of people are tuning in to hear this NBA chatter. So it seems like a ridiculously popular time to be a basketball fan. It just seems like it goes from the playoffs to the draft to all of the off-season moves, right into Team USA and USA basketball. So let's talk about it there. We're talking with Zak Baris. He's a lifelong Cleveland sports fan and NBA scout. And I guess why don't you tell our listeners what it was like being in Las Vegas? I don't know that we've really had a detailed account of what you soaked up when you were down there. And let's talk about Team USA a little bit.
It was just an incredible experience. Basically, if you've never experienced anything like it before, I can't even. It's hard to judge. Just being at the practices and watching the team was an incredible experience. Getting to watch the talent level out there was better than being in an NBA All-Star game. Just like being at the practices. Because these guys are competing at 100%. Unlike the All-Star game, they're giving it their all. These guys want to make the team. It's fun to watch. Last night, I wasn't there for that. I was there last past weekend before when the team was decided, and I went home. And it was great to watch because you get to watch guys, they're sitting there draining 3 after 3, and you're getting to watch, in practice, some of the best players in the world going against each other one-on-one in practice, which you don't ever get to see that in a real, you rarely get to see that in NBA games. It's just cool to watch. And, Team USA, again, last night looked fantastic. They were draining 3 after 3. Their chemistry and their teamwork for playing together for a week was incredible. Granted, it was the Dominican Republic, who had a 16-year-old freshman in high school playing on their team.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
But, the guy's the number 1 recruit in the country. So he's a freshman in high school, but most likely he'll probably wind up in Kentucky in 3 years. But getting back to last night, they looked unstoppable last night. Granted, it was the Dominican Republic. They're going to struggle against bigger teams like Spain, who have the Gasols, and Serge Ibaka. They're going. I don't know if I think they can beat them. Especially since LeBron's developed the post game. Anthony Davis could play significant minutes. Kevin Love, obviously, and Tyson Chandler. I think they'll be okay. But I bet the USA team takes the gold in the Olympics. I'd be very surprised if they don't. I think it's a very talented team. But getting back to this past week, honestly, every time Team USA gets together, it's such a fantastic coaching staff between the select team and and basically the regular team too. It's just, there's, like I said, the talent level is through the roof. It's fantastic to watch. You're getting to watch Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Darren Williams, Kyrie Irving with the select team. You're looking at the best point guards in the NBA right here. And then you've got LeBron, Kobe, Durant, James Harden. It's just, like I said earlier, it's just something that if you haven't gotten to see it for your own eyes, it's a must-see someday. It's great basketball.
Let me back up a second there, because we saw what happened. Blake Griffin got hurt. He tore the meniscus in his previously injured knee, and so they called to Anthony Davis, who had already injured, I think it was his ankle, and then explain how this works with the reserve team first. Talk about how serious the Anthony Davis injury was. Obviously not much, because I saw him hit that three-pointer.
When I got to Las Vegas last week, Anthony Davis had already he wasn't practicing hard. He wasn't working in drills, but he was working on his shooting. He was working on his jump shot. I think at most it was a minor ankle sprain. I've seen serious ankle sprains before where people have been out for a few weeks. This didn't look too bad. Like I said, he was putting pressure on it right away, and he was able to take jump shots in practice. And when someone's able to do that, that's either serious toughness or not too serious of an injury.
Right.
But luckily, the United States is very fortunate to have a guy with Davis's height and versatility to be able to play basically the 3, 4, or the 5. Because they don't have a lot of length on this team. Tyson Chandler is the only true center on the roster. And then after that you have Kevin Love. So that's why Anthony Davis made the team as a 19-year-old. Because his versatility. And like I said, there just aren't a lot of centers there aren't a lot of centers right now who would have made the team. Dwight Howard has a bad back injury, and especially what's going on with him right now, I think it's best. He couldn't play anyways. But, I think we're going to get to see Anthony Davis. You're going to get to witness him out there. He played really well at the end of last night's game. And, his game, he's going to be, like I said all along, I think he's going to be a superstar in the NBA. And I think that's why he made the team. But getting back to the select team and stuff, if there are injuries, those guys get called up from the team. It's also basically so, the NBA players on the regular team have NBA quality, veteran players to practice against, in practice and play against them. It's a lot easier when Chris Paul's going up against Kyrie Irving, the level of competition is going to be elite. So he can at least see what it's going to be like in international play. Going up against other talented players, or Tyson Chandler having to go up, against, if Anthony Davis was in practice, Chandler having to go against Davis, or so it's something similar when he goes up against one of the Gasol brothers, or Serge Ibaka during actual gameplay, or like when DeMarcus Cousins was there. That was the big thing is, there's actually talent on the select team, and it helps these guys get guaranteed a roster spot for, the FIBA championships in 2 years, or either your Olympics again in 4 years. That's why players want to play for the select team.
Okay, so it's to show one of the many reasons to improve their game, pick up tips, not get rusty over the summer, but it's also to kind of reserve your spot in line. It's like, hey, coach, you've gotten to know me. I'm a hard worker. I fit in with the system. I'm here to win. I think it would be an honor to do this for my country. Put me on the list. Make sure that next time my number's called for this. It's getting in the good graces with the coach kind of as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you get to go to Vegas, and you get to, not only one, you get to go to Vegas. You get a free trip. Nike sponsors the entire thing. It's just great for publicity too. These guys are getting all the attention, especially these young guys, on bad teams like the DeMarcus Cousins, who's on Sacramento, who's not going to get a lot of attention to begin with because they're such a bad team in such a small market. And then he's suddenly going to Vegas, and people are looking at him, and they're like, people take notice. That's the nicest part about it, especially for these young guys. And, they get to keep playing during the summer, improve their games against elite talent. And that's another part of it. And it'll help them, like I said, in 4 years make the roster when someone like Kobe Bryant most likely won't be on the roster in 4 years.
Yeah, that is the case. I think he was doing an interview, and he said he might be playing for another 3 years. I think that was one of the comments. He's like, I don't know.
Or Tyson Chandler. Tyson Chandler's in his 30s also, I don't think Tyson Chandler will be on the roster in 4 years, and that opens a spot for DeMarcus Cousins.
Well, and at some point, you look at how many people did not participate because of injury. We have Dwayne Wade, right, with his surgery.
Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh wanted to get healthy, and Dwight Howard. You had 3.
That's significant.
And then Blake Griffin did get injured, so 4.
Yeah, talk about Blake Griffin, because I wanted to. You said it's not that big of a. I think I heard you say it's not that big of a deal. Talk about the torn meniscus.
He's going to be. I found out yesterday. It sounds like he's going to be healthy for the beginning of the season. So, I'm glad he's not going to. It would have been horrible had he missed an entire season, because, that would have totally changed the landscape of what Chris Paul is going to do next year. If Blake Griffin's going to be out for the whole year. But like I said, he's most likely to be healthy for the beginning of the season. He now has the next 4 months to recover. He'll be fine. And, I'm just glad to see that. You never want to see a superstar get injured in practice. It's terrible. It can ruin a team's chemistry. It can ruin, like I said, it could have been the ultimate deciding factor whether Chris Paul leaves in free agency or not.
Yeah, and that is a concern. I was always concerned as a Cleveland fan watching LeBron just saying, oh, man, what if this guy gets hurt over there? And it turns out, well, oh, man, what if this guy goes and forges a relationship with 2 other guys that decides to leave the franchise? Absolutely it did. You don't accidentally decide to all do the same thing at the same time. Should small market teams be a little leery of especially in this super team culture of sending him off to Team USA, or that's petty? That's
it's not like they really have a choice. If the player wants to play, he's going to play. You have to encourage your player to do it too. Don't forget when these players play, it also gives your team national media attention. Because let's say if Kyrie Irving did make the team, you're the Cavaliers going, you know what? People look at Kyrie Irving in the Olympics. Let's just say, I know he's not on the team, but if he did, he would go, wow, this guy's really good. You know what? I'm going to tune in some more Cavalier games next year. Or maybe ESPN and looking, go, you know what, we need to broadcast some more Cavs games next year. People want to see this kid. He's that good. You know, especially for a guy like Kevin Love in Minnesota. You know, I mean, people are now taking him seriously. I mean, he's been putting up big numbers for a few years now. And, you know, the Timberwolves haven't gotten any attention because they've been so bad for years. I mean, I don't think they've been a playoff team in, 6 or 7, maybe even 8 years now. It's been a long time.
Well, let me wrap it up with this then, and then we'll move into our final segment. We'll do a scatter shot, getting into Jeremy Lin, the Heat, Ray Allen, and Rashard Lewis, a couple of other things here. But I want to ask you, who do you think would win, the Dream Team or this year's team? Because you and I were talking about that briefly in a previous episode, and then Kobe says something, and then Michael Jordan laughs at him, and it goes absolutely haywire viral where everyone's talking about it. So I guess let's expand upon that a little bit. How would you see that playing out if they were able to play?
My honest opinion is players nowadays, you know, we're talking 20 years later, seem to be more athletic than they used to be, you know, 20 years ago. But, I mean, that Dream Team just had so much talent, you know. The Dream Team was also a bigger team. They had a lot more size than this current team. I think the 92 Dream Team was really, really good. And I'll take the 92 team over the 2012 team.
Yeah, I'd have to do that as well. I would have a hard time. Yeah, I couldn't imagine Michael Jordan and Barkley and all, I always forget that Scottie Pippen was on that team.
Although I would pay big money if somehow it could happen, if we could watch 1993 or 94 Jordan or early 90s Jordan go against today's LeBron. I mean, I think that'd be incredible to watch. You know, it's unfortunate we'll never be able to see that, but you know, it would be great.
And then
it really would be.
Kobe's just kind of stuck in between the two generations somewhere around there, but I couldn't imagine that team losing, that Dream Team. It was just astonishing. No, I can't side with Kobe. I couldn't see it being a close game where today's team pulls it out. But I watched.
I think it would be a close
Jordan.
game. I can definitely tell you it would not be a blowout. I will tell you that.
Yeah, it may be a close game, but I watched enough of Michael Jordan to know that guy does not lose games. And I don't know. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it one more time because everybody else seems to be talking about it. But I'll tell you what, like I said, we're gonna kind of do the scatter shot across the league when we get back on the other side. We want to thank our sponsor for this segment. It's Three Black Cats Studio. Go ahead and take a look. They have really cool products, fake gauge tribal earrings. They have really cool organic products, whether it's hand lotion, body butter, chapstick, lip balm. Just take a look at what they're doing. They're organic, herbal, homemade products, homemade tribal hair flowers, really cool book boxes they're stowaway boxes where you can open them up and put a bunch of stuff in there, whether it's your car keys or your change or whatever. Take a look at their website. They're a sponsor. If you want to help thenewamericanmedia.com, you can buy stuff from our sponsor. Find them at the number 3blackcats.storeenvy.com, and Store Envy is STORENVY, only one E there. So the number 3blackcats.storeenvy.com. We'll be back on the other side talking more with Zak Baris about the NBA and most things basketball. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, thank you very much, and please consider clicking that little subscription button because we appreciate it when you do that. We'll be right back.
You were listening to The Unhappy Hour Sports Radio Show on thenewamericanmedia.com.
You are watching The New American Media.